Republicans gearing up for night 3 of the RNC, the party looking to counter Democrats' attacks and continue to make the case why President Trump deserves 4 more years in the White House. Speakers last night highlighting President Trump's accomplishments, defending his actions. Take a look.
Over and over, issue after issue, the economy, the wall, the military, trade deals, tax cuts, Supreme Court justices, promises made and promises for the first time were kept.
I urge you to make judgment based on results and not rhetoric.
Our economic choice is very clear. Do you want economic health, prosperity, opportunity, and optimism? Or do you want to turn back to the dark days of stagnation, recession, and pessimism?
Despite the unprecedented attacks from the media and opposition, he will not give up. In fact, if you tell him he cannot be done, he just works harder.
First Lady in the Rose Garden there. Okay, Greg, your big moment last night?
Oh, it had to be the naturalization ceremony. It always brings a lump to your throat, even though the media will mock it, because they always wonder how silly it is to want to come to America, which, as you've heard already, is a racist, sexist, imperialistic hell, except that maybe 4 billion people want to get into it. It was also great in the ceremony to see non-celebrities who can't wait to come to America, as opposed to celebrities who always keep vowing to leave America but never do. And it's easy when you're rich, right? When you've already made it, when you're a professional athlete, to preach defeatism to others. Here's an observation. If you took a Venn diagram of people who became naturalized citizens, right, and put that in one circle, and then you put the other circle, rioters, those circles will never overlap. You'd have a better chance of finding Brian Stelter on a Peloton than a naturalized citizen rioting.
Okay, Juan, up-and-coming star, Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron. Take a listen to this.
I think often about my ancestors who struggled for freedom. And as I think of those giants and their broad shoulders, I also think about Joe Biden, who says, if you aren't voting for me, you ain't black. Mr. Vice President, look at me. I am black. We are not all the same, sir. I am not in chains. My mind is my own, and you can't tell me how to vote because of the color of my skin.
We have not seen the end of the Kentucky Attorney General.
No, I think he's got a political future. He's quite a good speaker, and one of my friends said he was very good looking.
Juan, I told you that in confidence.
No. Actually, it was someone else on this panel, but I won't say who. I'll leave that up to her.
Ooh, okay.
So if you had asked me to pick a star last night, Brett, I would have said Melania Trump. That whole setting in the Rose Garden was phenomenal, just spectacular. Obviously, there are questions about the ethics of it, but let's forget that for the moment. And I thought she did a good job. Why? Because I thought that, unlike the rest of the convention, her speech was an outlier in that she spoke emphatically and empathetically about the coronavirus and said that, she understands people who are suffering, and she's particularly related, and of course this is the target audience for the entire convention, to moms, to suburban moms, and said the president is fighting for you. You are warriors, and the president is in your fight. The problem is, the same day, Larry Kudlow, the economic advisor, is talking about the coronavirus as if it's in the past tense, as if it's already gone. And then you have a problem where today it's reported that the president is pressing the CDC to change its standards for testing, and so not to test people who've been exposed. Again, the idea is fewer tests, therefore we'll have less data to indicate the severity of the coronavirus problem so many months after it started.
Dana, you heard Juan reference it there. There's a big dust-up. Some of the media, and definitely Democrats, saying that the trappings of the White House and all of this are wrong, some saying illegal. The White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, saying today outside the Beltway, people don't care. You buy that?
Well, a couple things. So I do think that they ran this through the counsel's office, and actually the Rose Garden is exempt, so let's just cross that one off the list. And besides, the Trump family and the entire RNC, they were planning to be in Charlotte, North Carolina this week. They wouldn't even be at the White House if it weren't for the pandemic. And Joe Biden wouldn't be in Delaware if it weren't for the pandemic. Everybody would be traveling everywhere. So I think that the Hatch Act violations is such a small ball issue because truly, did anyone wake up today wishing that those new Americans were not citizens today? Or did anybody wake up thinking, gosh, John Ponder really didn't deserve that pardon last night from the White House? You should have had it from somewhere else. I don't think so. Those were big moments. And here's something that Jim Garrity at National Review said, that the unconventional convention is kind of a blessing in disguise because it forced the president's team to have him doing things rather than just saying things. And if I had to pick a star last night, I'm going with the Maine lobsterman. He said that in 2016, he did not vote for President Trump. He did not think he would follow through on conservative principles. His mind has been changed. And so he is going to vote for him. But importantly, it was a policy issue. There was the EU tariffs on lobster. The president worked that issue with Senator Collins of Maine. They got that resolved. And now he is saying that that industry is preserved and saved under the president. So you're looking at specific, concrete things. That's what I would say. If you are an independent voter or a crossover voter, you're not exactly sure, something like that might change your mind.
Lobster. It was the accent alone. Jesse, wrap it up.
I would say that last night showed that America First puts people first. You're talking about lobstermen, steelworkers, dairy farmers who under Barack Obama and Joe Biden suffered and under this president have succeeded. So that really puts a face to the trade policies, tax and regulation cuts. There was a strong outreach to Christians, from the right to try children whose lives were saved to the story from the pro-life woman about a baby fighting off an abortion in the womb while the Planned Parenthood administrator cracked jokes. They talked about how this president, the first president in decades who hasn't initiated a new war in a term, compare that to Joe Biden, who was backing wars in Serbia and Syria and Iraq and Libya. I think it was Dana's boyfriend, the Kentucky AG, really said,
I don't even think, did I say
know
that?
It was you, Dana, said that Joe Biden's a backwards thinker on race and said that he's made more promises to illegals than he has to Americans. And then Pam Bondi really did a number on Joe's grifting family. There was also talk about the one war the president has waged, which was opioids. 33 years. Deaths from overdoses have been on the rise. First year ever, they've now declined. So I think what the president did was he really said, these are my policies. These are the people that are benefiting from my policies. Joe Biden won't tell you his policies because they're too crazy and his policies hurt people. And I hate to say this, I agree with Juan. Melania was the star last night. You could hear a pin drop in the Rose Garden.
How often does that happen here on The Five?
Not often.
You agree with Juan? All right.